Antikythera is the bespoke video game engine used by all of the No Frauds Club's 2D titles. This video will establish what features Antikythera currently has 6 months into development, and the work we plan to do in the month of February 2022. Please note that at this stage, almost all art assets are placeholder and extracted from other products. We will, of course, replace all of these assets with our own in a comprehensive art pass in the future. We began developing Antikythera to serve as a platform for our isometric titles, and as such, it supports a fixed-angle 2D perspective. We currently launch directly into the editor mode, which is split into several different modules. The terrain module is where you can arrange tile sheets, paint isometric patterns, hue-shift tiles, and generally give shape to the environment. We still have some bugs to fix regarding tile generation, and not all assets have been configured correctly just yet. We expect that this module will change massively when we create our own terrain assets. Over in the Settings module, you can enable symmetry to have your changes mirrored along various axes. These symmetry options also apply to placing units and doodads. The rest of the Settings module and its companion, the Debug module, is mostly for client-side settings, and useful but niche visualizations. The Mask module lets you specify a secondary tile for the last selected tile sheet. For example, if I select the Mausoleum Cliff tile sheet, go to the Mask module, and then select Mausoleum Flagstones as my mask layer, I will fill the previously absent tiles with the selected texture. I can then hue-shift the masked texture to my liking. We can switch to the Unit module to place some units. These can be resources, combatants, or structures, for example. All entities in Antikythera are defined in definition files, and we plan to separate them into packages at a later date, which will make it simple to create and share your own game modes, factions, levels, and so on. You can use the categories and text filters to narrow down the growing list of entities. The UI is very simple, and if you couldn't have guessed, it will eventually be replaced with something more readable. It is, however, easy to relocate and resize, which makes it a very usable solution for us in the current moment. It's worth noting that all of these modules can be interacted with in both single-player and multiplayer. For example, in this footage, you'll see the client placing units while another client shapes terrain. This is also possible to do while the game is unpaused, which allows us to manipulate the environment or unit count at any point. Back to units. These must be placed with a player selected, and that player becomes their owner. We can edit player attributes in the Players module, from aesthetic things such as player color, to functional things like what kind of player it is, whether it's designed to be controlled by a human, and which AI personality it should run if applicable. The Alliances module lets us customize shared vision and friendly statuses, which is paramount for setting up team games. Together with real-time editing, we can easily customize a new computer player, place some resources and structures for it, and have it immediately begin playing the game, all without pausing or reloading. In the future, we will add data hotloading, which means it would also be possible to design new units, factions, and AI personalities during runtime. We will also work on a drop-in solution to allow human players to connect to vacant player slots, but that's for much later. Because all of our games will feature a significant amount of player versus computer gameplay, AI is a big focus for the No Frauds Club. We currently only have bare-bones base-building logic, but it does include a placement algorithm, and our computer players actively scout the environment, only sending attack waves towards enemies they have discovered. Put another way, it doesn't cheat or metagame. The computer AI will only become more robust in the month of February, and this month's updates will include tactical logic for unit groups, allowing for things like kiting, effect avoidance, and aggressive ability usage. By the time we release a title, you can expect computer-controlled opponents to give even experienced players a run for their money. There are other exciting developments we've been focusing on lately, like an item shop and inventory to the specifications of our RTS MOBA hybrid, Onitar, the Pretense of War. However, we are still in the process of implementing a scalable system to handle abilities and passives, and we haven't yet added functionality for all the inventory management the game requires, so we'll save those elements for when they've received more work. In the month of February 2022, we will focus heavily on rewriting systems. When designing a homebrew game engine, you work on a lot of specific things for the first time, and odds are you'll need a few tries to land on a scalable system. One simple example is Fog of War. We plan to overhaul our system for that in order to improve performance and enable more elegant visual transitions between active vision and explored terrain. Other examples include pathfinding, where we will combine our flow fields with A-star hierarchical pathfinding to support large map sizes and dynamic terrain, and networking, where we will update our functions to primarily use UDP instead of TCP in order to improve stability. We are currently writing Antikythera in C-styled C++, but we have recently been given beta access to Jonathan Blow's language, codenamed JAI. This language is designed specifically for video games and video game engines, but it is still under development, so we will also spend some of February vetting the language's feature set. If everything looks up to par, we will likely begin a port of the engine to that language, which could slow down progress on new features until it's completed. We don't expect that this process would take longer than a week or two, but we can't know more until we take a longer look at the language. So, adding hot loading and data packaging, updating AI, overhauling core systems, and potentially moving to a new language entirely. It sounds like we've got our work cut out for us in February. Check back in a month's time to see how we did. If you want more information about our current work, you can ask us questions on our Discord server, or consult our website. We hope to see you in the next update.